Good evening. I will call to order the July 8, 2021 business meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. I would like to share that Commissioners Fisher and Schrader will not join us this evening because they are traveling to attend the National Association of Counties Conference. Gary, could you please call the roll?
Yes, Chair Smith. First, our staff support this evening. Shannon Bays, Clerk to the Board. Stephen Madcourt, County Counsel. Roll call. Commissioner Shull.
Here.
Commissioner Savas.
Here.
Chair Smith.
Here, I now will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I am now going to read a statement in response to Metro's accusation that a noose was allegedly reported to be seen at Metro's South Recycling Station. Their own, quote, inconclusive evidence investigation bears further scrutiny upon Metro's leadership abilities to manage its assets and its relationships with counties. On May 4, 2021, a public policy session was held by Clackamas County on tipping fees. Some of the Metro staff appeared in person. However, Metro's Chief Operating Officer appeared on Zoom and surprised all commissioners with information about a noose sighting at the Metro South Station right here in Oregon City. I, for one, was aghast that our residents were being accused of being racist. I did not hear of a news sighting. A phone call from Metro staff to Clackamas County staff should have been the first order of business. Instead, my commission and I were ambushed in a very public and humiliating way. After all, South Metro Recycling Center is a Metro-owned and run facility, and their employees report to Metro, not Clackamas County or even Oregon City, where the facility is located. My fellow commissioners remained mute. As they told me later, they were equally stunned. What immediately followed from Metro President Lynn Peterson was accusations in the press about my lack of empathy and leadership over an incident that I knew nothing about and has yet to be substantiated. According to an email dated June 29, 21, from Metro Counselor Christine Lewis, the investigation was, quote, inconclusive. After Metro's own Metro Labor and Employee Relations staff interviewed, quote, all known witnesses regarding the rope, close quote. Lynn Peterson owes Clackamas County Commissioners an apology for these false accusations. Indeed, yes indeed, words hurt and relations are bruised, as you so pointedly made clear with the false accusation of racism. There is much at stake as Metro's supporting housing services measure is not delivering the money as promised to Clackamas County. Our voters resoundingly rejected Metro's tax increase for homeless services. Yet, because we are part of a regional government, our citizens are taxed. What promised on July 1st of 2021 was $24 million to Clackamas County for these services. However, $150,000 will be allocated to Clackamas County. Clackamas County cannot afford to backfill Metro's failed promises of tax revenue. Why would we? Additionally, Metro has raised its tipping fees 17% for garbage collection, on which I voted no. If good relations are to be had with Oregon's regional government, I suggest a mea culpa is in order, or surely it will be rough going for a regional government who appears to disrespect its own people. I will now continue with the meeting. We are holding this meeting in person and virtually. If you joined us on the Zoom app for this meeting and you are interested in providing public comment, we will prompt you regarding how to do that when the time is right. This evening, we have a short agenda consisting of only consent items. As always, the public is welcome to sign up to testify. Registration will close 5 minutes past 6. We welcome your opinions and look forward to your polite participation. With that in mind, I would like to remind all participants, including staff, all elected officials, and members of the public, that Robert's Rules of Order will be enforced in this business meeting. Administrator Gary Schmidt, you're up.
Thank you, Chair Smith. As you said, the only item for business this evening is the consent agenda. With that, I'll ask Shannon, will you please read the consent agenda by title only?
Approval of an intergovernmental subrecipient agreement with City of Oregon City Pioneer Center to provide social services for Clackamas County residents. Maximum value is $185,963 through the Older American Act Ride Connection Pass-Through Funds and Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. No county general funds involved. Approval of a federal subrecipient grant amendment number 1 with Clackamas County Children's Commission to provide Healthy Families services. Amendment adds $91,823 for a maximum value of $1,797,977.95. County General Fund covers $45,000 of the maximum value. Renewal of contract with Community and Shelter Assistance, CASA of Oregon. Value is $45,000 that CASA pays to clients' accounts. No county general funds are involved. Approval of grant agreement with U.S. Department of Treasury for emergency rental assistance funds. Maximum eligibility of $9,908,500 through the U.S. Department of Treasury under the authority of Section 3201A of the American Rescue Act of 2021. No county general funds are involved. Approval of amendment number 01 to a revenue contract with Care Oregon, Inc. for behavioral health services. Amendment adds $1,908,454 for a maximum value of $3,750,012 through Care Oregon. No county general funds are involved. Approval of agreement number 10057 with Oregon Health and Sciences University for Institutional Review Board study. OHSU will pay Clackamas Health Centers $219,419 for a period of 4 years. No county general funds are involved. Approval to apply for a RAISE discretionary transportation grant to replace the bridge across the Bull Run River. $9.2 million in grant funds requested with matching funds of $2.3 million, 20%, road fund, plus $10,000 contribution from Weyerhaeuser. No county general funds are involved. Approval of intergovernmental agreement between Clackamas County and the City of Happy Valley for traffic signal maintenance and transportation engineering services. Revenue varies between $500 to $3,000 annually through the road fund. No county general funds are involved. Approval of a contract with Kittleson and Associates, Inc. for the Arndt Road Extension Alternatives and Goal Exception Study Project. Total contract value is $210,000 through Community Fund and Road Fund. No county general funds are involved. Approval of Federal Financial Assistance Award of Domestic Grant 21DG110606000006 between Clackamas County and USDA, Forest Service, Mount Hood National Forest. Total funding of $24,897.60 with $19,152 in USDA Forest Service Secure Rural Schools and Community Self-Determination Act of 2000 funds, and $5,745.60 from the fiscal year 21-22 Dump Stoppers Program funding. No county general funds are involved. Approval to purchase HPE Proliant servers for county data center infrastructure, $228,032.64, funded through Technology Services allocated budget. No county general funds are involved. Approval of amendment number 10 to the intergovernmental agreement 2015001 with Multnomah County for assessment and evaluation service beds for Clackamas County youth. $126,449 funded through County General Fund.
Right there, so the last item, actually, the board will have to recess and reconvene as west. So this will be the end of the county portion of the consent agenda.
Does any commissioner wish to pull any item off the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Scholl and seconded by Commissioner Savas. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Shannon, would you please take the poll?
Commissioner Scholl,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 3-0.
So Chair, I apologize, we did not have the script correct, so you will now adjourn as the board and reconvene as the Water Environment Services
We
Board.
will now
Recess, sorry.
recess as the Board of County Commissioners and reconvene as the Water Environment Services. Shannon,
Yes,
please.
Shannon,
read
please read the consent agenda by title only for Water Environment Services.
Approval of contract between Murray Smith, Inc. for engineering design services for the force main on I-205, $500,000 funded through WES funds. No county general funds are involved.
Thank you. Does any commissioner wish to pull an item off the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda?
Seconded.
Commissioner Savas has moved to approve the consent agenda. Commissioner Scholl has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Shannon, please call the poll.
Commissioner Scholl,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 3-0. We will now recess as Water Environment Services Board and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners for the remainder of the meeting. Thank you very much. And now, we are on to public testimony. I think this is one of the fastest meetings we've ever had. This portion of the agenda shall be limited to items of county business which are properly the object of board consideration and should be nonpartisan in nature, as the BCC is a nonpartisan governing body under Oregon Revised Statutes and County Code. Testimony is limited to 3 minutes. Comments shall be respectful and courteous to all. As a reminder, you can email submissions for public communication at bcc@clackamas.us, and these will be accepted as part of the record. However, we will not be reading them at the business meeting. I will now open the meeting for public testimony, and we have some people in the audience. They go first, and then we will move to the Zoom calls. First up is Dr. Dave White. Please come forward, state your name, residence, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Dave White.
Go ahead and sit down first. That's all right.
My name is Dave White. Currently, I live in Woodburn. I'm here to testify about COVID-19. For COVID-19, there's 8 doctors and I have all the data from North America, Europe, and Asia, gathered since early a year ago, last March, every day, and summarized every weekend, every Sunday. We've published 5 manuscripts, and the media is lying about it. And the vaccines are gene manipulation, and the efficiencies are based on fake COVID PCR tests. And I'll read something here. I'll leave this with you. This is from the CDC website. The CDC website says the COVID test is a qualitative test, not a quantitative test. Furthermore, and this is well-known problems with the PCR testing. Dr. Kary Mullis, who invented this, got a Nobel Prize in chemistry for inventing the PCR test. And this test, you're only supposed to run the cycle threshold to 5 or 10. But by the World Health Organization and the CDC, they say you can run it up to 42. But let me read right here. By the time you get to 33 cycles, 80% are false positives. Up to 90% of positive tests at cycle threshold of 40 would be negative at a cycle threshold of 30. With a cycle threshold above 35, the chance of receiving a false positive is 97%. And this is how they run that test. I'm a chemical engineer with graduate in statistics, and I did the statistical part of this. But as a chemical engineer, I know how a chemistry test should be done. And you don't start out with saying every sample has to go to the maximum. You would start out with what the doctor who made this test said, let's use 10. You would gather data maybe for 2 weeks or a month, and you would analyze that data and then compare it maybe to another virus or something that's similar in the past, and then you would adjust your cycle threshold maximum based on that. And then you would gather more data and then keep adjusting it as time goes on. And by last summer, we would have known what the actual cycle threshold should have been. Also, there is no asymptomatic transmission of COVID. Through the last year, we developed some questions. I'm sorry, this takes about 8 minutes. Can I go on?
Dr. White, we have your handout.
Okay, good.
We have your handout. I
Good.
appreciate it very much. And as I
Sure.
said during the beginning, you can email us, and that will become part of the public
Okay.
record. And,
I'll leave this with you. This is what I was talking about, the PCR test.
okay, would you like to email that too, so it will become a part of the official public record? At the, you can check right over here. I appreciate you coming forward today. Up next is Joe Haverkamp. Please come forward, state your name and your residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Joe Haverkamp. And it's interesting. This is a really nice commission tonight. This is the way it should be. And before I get into what I'm here for, I want to tell you, I'm sure you all know that I was in politics myself, so I know the protocol. You have 3 commissioners here tonight. If you made a motion for him to take his job back, his liaison, he seconded it, he can vote. You would be able to take him back tonight. Okay? What I'm going to do is read the Constitution, which I don't know if you've all read this, and I've got copies if some would like. Congress shall make no laws regarding any establishment of religion and prohibit them the free exercise thereof and abridge the freedom of the speech or press. You have the right of the people to assemble peacefully and to petition the government for redress of grievances. So, with that, you know, we've lost so much time over Mark Scholes, and this is, you know, very regrettable for the commissioners. But there is, I go along with what Yvonne said. This is a coup, and I heard it this afternoon. Someone was telling me that was a Democrat. We know this is a coup. We know it, and yet everybody's going along with the Democrats. Come on. This is a free country. Let this man get his job back. Let him get his job back. I mean, I'll tell you, the recall him isn't going to fly. There's too much money and too many people that are upset over it. And I think that it's foolish that they'd even think of recalling both of you. I mean, they must think that we're so stupid in Clackamas County that we're going to go with all this. We're not going to go along with that. You know, you 3 are the 3 that have sense. You've got, you know, and that's what it takes. But when you let 2 people that just push and with Fisher, for her, when I had come and testified for the first time, and she told me that she stood up. I've never in my entire life, I've been affiliated with politics for what? I'm 80, so probably 50 years. To get up at a meeting and yell, you wouldn't have voted for him if you knew what he was all about. I happen to know all about him now. I've done so much investigating on him and know him.
Thank you very much, Joe. I
him
appreciate you
back.
coming forward today. Up next is Michael Weber. Please come forward, state your name, residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair Smith. Point of order. Could we have no audience participation during the speech?
I'm going to ask no audience participation for Michael Weber's 3-minute testimony.
Thank you.
You have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Michael Weber, Jennings Lodge. Thank you, Chair Smith. One of the hallmarks of maturity is the ability to take responsibility for one's words and actions. It is something that differentiates true leadership from charlatans. When the VA had appalling inefficiency in their hospital system, Eric Shinseki, the then Secretary of the VA, resigned. When Al Franken, Senator of Minnesota, was informed of the inappropriateness of his past behavior as an entertainer, he resigned. Contrast that with Mike Neiman. Despite the video evidence of his opening our Capitol door to armed disruptors, he refused to step down and had to be voted out of the Oregon House 59-1. Commissioner Scholl, on May 27th, you emailed Gary and clearly stated that you would like the vaccine passport document shared the following Tuesday at the work session in response to Gary's offer to post any documentation you had to the issues list. After it became apparent that the language in the email document you submitted was offensive to the general public, you attempted to lie yourself out of the situation by stating that Gary misunderstood you and you never intended for the document to be put before the public. The email chain clearly shows that Gary told you exactly what would happen with that document when you gave it to him. That it would be put into the Tuesday agenda packet and made public. Previously this year, you organized a field trip to assess the homeless situation without following H3S's advice to contact Father's Heart Street Ministry first. When it became apparent that the trip was ill-advised and many people objected to you publishing photos on social media, you attempted to deflect blame by throwing your girlfriend under the bus, saying she was responsible for posting the pictures. You continue to avoid your own culpability in contributing to the partisan divide with your social media activity. And this not taking responsibility for one's choices extends to the ever-shrinking minority that refuse to get vaccinated. Although people do have a right when it comes to refusing the vaccination, they do not have a right to expose others in the community to a potential fatal disease. Instead of accepting the responsibility of their choice and living with potential restrictions put upon them by the local businesses, they demanded that you codify their selfishness by proposing this ludicrous passport vaccine ban. Your track record of anti-community behavior and total lack of ability to acknowledge the harm you create and inability to change continue to make you unfit to represent Clackamas County as a liaison of the commission. Some could argue it makes you unfit to be a commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Waller, you're up next. Please state your name, your area of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Chris Waller, Jennings Lodge. On Thursday, July 1st, Mark Schull asked to have his liaison duties back, stating, "If all I need to do is ask to get him back, consider it done." He immediately followed this with a remark that illustrates exactly why he should not get these liaison duties back. In response to some of the horrible, racist, threatening comments made on his inflammatory Facebook posts, he said, "I'm not responsible for the thousands of people that contact me on social media. Mr. Schull, if you toss a pile of garbage on the ground, you're responsible for the rat problem it creates. Your social media works the same way. If you toss out patently false and provoking garbage, like denying the reality of heat inequality, encouraging people to unleash on their school boards, or claiming the Delta variant is a media hoax, you know what you will attract. You cannot claim ignorance. You are deliberately encouraging partisan rhetoric among your ranks, and you are responsible if that rhetoric becomes violence." On July 4th, you posted a quote which you said was from Solzhenitsyn. It isn't, by the way, as a few moments of research showed, implying that those of us who criticize your behavior are liars, and then one from Shakespeare calling us devils. Yet when someone asked you to specify the lies, saying she was a constituent of yours, you immediately deleted the comment rather than respond. When someone else asked, "What are the lies?" you deleted that comment too. That makes me think you know your accusations are fabricated and you are once again simply inflaming your base. I have stated this before. I will do it again. If you or your supporters can find anything on recallmarkschall.com that you can demonstrate is false, we will correct it. We've already done so once when we misstated the amount you received from Timber Unity. We stand by our words. Mark Shull's liaison assignments were removed because he showed that he cannot change his messages or behavior even if they threaten and upset community members. He has shown absolutely no remorse for his behavior or intent to change it. He has not learned anything from previous explanations of how hurtful and harmful that behavior is. He shows no understanding that he represents everyone in our diverse county. He cannot properly serve as a representative of the county and should not have his liaison assignments returned at this time. As he quoted what he said with Solzhenitsyn to us, so I will quote it, a real quote, to him. It's a universal law. Intolerance is the first sign of an inadequate education. An ill-educated person behaves with arrogant impatience, whereas truly profound education breeds humility. And as Shakespeare said, a true repentance shuns the evil itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Nancy Hall. Please come forward. State your name, area of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Nancy Hall, Happy Valley. I watched the video of the June 1st policy session. Commissioner Shull presented a rough draft for an ordinance against vaccine passports. Jim Crow laws were referenced in this document. After his presentation, his colleagues attacked him like a pack of jackals. Some of the words used to describe him in this document were abhorrent, offensive, volatile, racist, and bigoted. After hearing all this and at the urging of Commissioner Shull to read the document, I did. The document is reasonable and strives to protect citizens from more government overreach. The references to Jim Crow laws were not in any way offensive and simply cited what these laws did and the discrimination that ensued. The analogy of using Jim Crow laws to bolster a position against vaccine passports is spot on. Citing various case laws is a normal and accepted way to support an argument. Commissioner Fisher, you attacked Commissioner Shull with the words racist and bigot. These are extremely hateful words. Since you are an attorney, I'm sure when you went to court, it was common for you to cite case law to support your case. When you were called were you called a racist and bigot for doing so? Using the dictionary definition of racist, what is specifically is racist in this document? I asked the same question to the other commissioners. Based on this board's action, it appears any reference to Jim Crow laws must be handled with kid gloves and spoken of with deep reverence and hushed tones. You must have been very upset when Joe Biden referred to Jim Crow as Jim Eagle. Did you contact the media and denounce Chuck Schumer, Stacey Abrams, and countless other Democrats who routinely refer to these laws? You must have been apoplectic when you saw the 7/4/21 Sunday Funnies where Doonesbury had done another one of his parodies on Jimmy Crow. No, double standard be damned, this self-righteous board was busy publicly scorning Commissioner Shull. His crime? Bringing before them a document that simply referenced Jim Crow laws. For this heinous act, this board stripped him of his liaison duties. When this board arbitrarily deprived Commissioner Shull of his liaison duties, it effectively silenced the voices of those who voted for him. We citizens will remember that come Election Day. This board's harassment and bullying of Commissioner Shull is creating a toxic work environment. We citizens of Clackamas County are not going to tolerate the politics of demonize and destroy that this board is engaging in. This board needs to publicly apologize to Commissioner Shull and reinstate his liaison duties. Thank you.
Up next is Gina Tellerino. Come forward, state your name, your residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. May I just? Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Gina Tellerino. I live in Happy Valley. Here I go. I'll just read to try to stay in the time limit. Commissioners, except Commissioner Shull, please finally listen to the people of Clackamas County and pass a resolution to ban vaccine passports. Can you guys hear me?
Sure.
Anyone who wants the vaccine can get it. No one should be forced to get it. By now, you've heard firsthand accounts of damage the vaccine has done to people. You've been made aware of the many alternate treatments for COVID-19. You've been told of the VAERS system and all the health data there and the death and injury that is tabulated nationwide, that is officially recorded there. You've heard of children debating suicide from a mom that came and spoke here month after month because of social and emotional deprivation. You've been warned of the risks of using color of law to violate actual law, including the Constitution of our state and our beautiful nation. What more do you need to hear before you act against the growing giant of coercion and authoritarianism? You've succumbed to Kate Brown's tyranny, continual lockdown, illegal public masking, killing small business while big business thrives, devastating families, causing them to lose their homes and their place in this community. Did you encourage businesses, young people, or thought leaders to find creative ways to combat the effects or to innovate against this virus? Did you ever advocate for other treatments? Will you, which I found out that you have, thank you, Tootie, I read that today. Did you ever advocate for other treatments? Will you continue to ignore our basic and God-given rights and make this mess more devastating? There are more doctors and immunologists than just the ones you may see on the news, or the ones that Kate Brown handpicked. These national and world-renowned professionals have offered treatments, not including vaccines. You just went along with Kate's program with excuses of not being able to stand against Kate Brown, the tyrant. You've been asked many questions right here that have gone unanswered. People are becoming very frustrated. We must ask why. One person here stands firm with the people, and that, I believe, is Commissioner Scholl. As a voter, I demand that you restore his liaison duties, as you said you would. Please, Commissioner Smith. If he asked, well, he did, and I'd like to know and ask you with politeness, could you please be a woman of your word? The Commission's vindictive attempt, well, I want to change that. It feels vindictive, some of them, but I understand that it's scary out there in the world we now live with all the threats and everything. To neuter him, I mean this part, and his power is being met with serious pushback. We stand with Commissioner Scholl. Many patriots in this room are here tonight mobilized by your attempt to overturn his election. We will not forget this. The 40,000-foot perspective, banning travel, censoring free speech, silencing scientific debate, closing business, hindering income, mask mandates, banning opposition, vaccine passports, changing election law, and other laws pushed through. I ask, is the coronavirus mutating into communism? Will you continue to be a party to this? We await your answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Deb Frassetto, you're up next. Please come forward, state your name, residence, and you have 3 minutes.
My name's Debbie Frassetto. I live in I do not live in Happy Valley. I live in Damascus, just in the Happy Valley.
Can you pull that forward? Just
Sure.
Thank
Is
you.
that better?
That's better.
Thank you. I'm here to talk about the VAC passport and how it violates our Constitution, the protocol for getting answers when you ask questions in this environment, and also our children. So I'm just going to start. The Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution states that the right of the people to secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. Title III of the U.S. Civil Rights Act prohibits discrimination based on medical condition, being vaxxed or unvaxxed in private businesses such as grocery stores, banks, restaurants, hotels, retail stores, and all public facilities, including schools. Any person or persons who violate your rights can be liable under Title 18 U.S. Section 242, deprivation rights. Penalty for this crime, and it is a crime, can include prison or death. It is illegal to require proof of vaccine as a condition for entry or service to any private business or public establishment because it discriminates. Who among you are representing your constituents in this matter? The only one is Commissioner Scholl. I believe he needs to be reinstated and given back his full liaison power as a commissioner so we do have a fair representation, nonpartisan, on our Commissioner's Board. I've been to about 3 of these meetings and watched a couple online, and I'm seeing a real pattern of many people expressing their concerns and questions, but so far I haven't seen any action to rectify their questions? Is there a protocol for getting answers? Someone, I think at the last meeting that I attended, asked about Commissioner Sonia Fisher's receiving $10,000, which is a real big red flag to me. I would like to see a receipt of why that money was awarded to her and from whom. I assume this is part of the full transparency that Commissioner Smith promised in her inaugural speech. You say you are a proactive county government that looks for solutions when a crisis hits this county. The crisis I see right now is our children and grandchildren to attend school where they have social interaction with their peers and teachers. If another lockdown should occur, what are each of you going to do to prevent mandatory vaccines for children? I say this because who's going to take the responsibility for them? You know, there's a doctor, Dr. Robert Malone, who was the inventor of the mRNA vac, and he recommends children not receive these vaccines because they are damaging to them. And you can go to, well, actually right now you can't go there because social media has banned him completely off of everything.
Thank you very much, Deb, for coming forward today. Gary, what is the protocol for commissioners answering questions? I cannot answer for Commissioner Fisher regarding any contribution. I cannot answer for Commissioner Savas or any other commissioner at this dais, and nor would he, because that is very improper. Gary, thank you.
Sir, during public testimony, commissioners, you have the right to address or answer any question a member of the public asks you or not. Generally, we do ask the member of the public if you'll leave a contact information for you. We'll either email or call you with the information, or if we know you'll be back next week, we'll have an answer for you. Certainly, we respond to every email that comes in. Some people who have testified previously, they did leave their contact information, and we will email them their questions, answers to their questions back. But we will always respond to a question asked as best we can.
I have responded to most of the questions that have been asked and put forward to me, and the same questions appear week after week. Thank you very much. Next up, Lila Blakely, is that right? Please come forward. Well, that you can correct me then, okay? Please state your name and residence, and you have 3 minutes. Yes?
I'm sorry, Chair. So Commissioner Fisher has joined the meeting via Zoom, and appears she would like to speak, which means we're officially noticing she's now part of the meeting. So she's.
Does she want to speak now?
Sounds like she'd like to speak now. Yes.
Commissioner Fisher, go ahead, please.
Hey, thank you, Chair Smith. I appreciate you asking Gary that question, and I will just respond to the issue about my campaign contributions. I really want to respect the chair and our process in that we have very important business to do for Clackamas County, which means that I am a politician, I am running for office, I do accept contributions, I absolutely accept contributions on behalf of working people. I'm very proud of that. I don't really need to explain it's self-explanatory. There's nothing here. But like I have always said, if somebody wants to connect with me outside of this meeting, happy to have that conversation, and we'll be happy to talk about whatever you want to know about my supporters, my campaign, but not on the county time during our official business meeting. It is simply not appropriate.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. Ms. Blakely, would you please continue and state your name, please?
Leila Blakely, Sandy, Oregon. As most are well aware, President Biden announced of going to door for to give people the opportunity to have the gene therapy experiment shots, and it's getting totally out of control. This is a personal choice, and I know that Chair Smith, I've seen hers where she said that it's a choice. I don't know what everybody else's is, but anyway. But what is coming is a demand for vaccine passports because of this. I see this coming down the road. And anyone who has been paying attention to this rapidly moving, sweeping across the United States knows that it is inevitable that we will be seeing these passport demands. There are states and counties across the U.S. right now who are putting into place a ban for requiring such passports to enter into places of public accommodation. So what I would like to see happen is to pick up Mark Scholl's proposal and look at it and work together as a team and try to put something together for our county so that we can become a sanctuary county, so that we're not putting the citizens of Clackamas County at risk for having to prove and also give up their health records to the government. That is total government overreach. The constituents in Clackamas County want to see you as a team of commissioners come together and support one another and to make these kinds of accomplishments for us. And please do not continue to feed into the recall of Mark Scholl. I would like you to, just work on that. I know that there's so many outside entities, and especially that work right here within the Clackamas County building, and there's a lot of people that are totally getting upset, and it needs to come to a stop. We need to come together as a team, and we need to protect the citizens of Clackamas County. I am strongly against this vaccine passport, along with vaccines, but that is, like you said, a personal choice. Thank you.
I'm going to call on our county council to address the subject of sanctuary counties and the effectiveness that it has on governance.
Chair, I think that question and issue might be moot. I'm not aware of any statewide or countywide requirement that requires folks to identify whether or not they have been vaccinated. Public entities certainly are not doing it. The governor lifted her restrictions. The county lifted its restrictions. You might encounter some in the private sector, an area that the county doesn't typically legislate in. Private sector folks are able to do that, but I'm not aware of anything within our county governance or state law requiring such display of vaccine cards.
Last week at our business meeting, this Board of County Commissioners passed 3 resolutions. I suspect, based on the testimony I've heard so far tonight, you have not read the economic resolution post-pandemic. It's 3 pages. It's very lengthy. Some of the concerns you brought forward tonight are addressed in that. I suggest you go back and read that and be informed yourselves. Next up, Yvonne Lazarus. Please state your name, area of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
It's short, but they're in there. I'm Yvonne Lazarus. I live in Milwaukee. I'm not good at staying on script. Chair, Commissioners, County Administrator Gary Schmidt, and County Counsel Mr. Melchor. I'm going to speak about the BCC meeting of July 1, 2021. I requested for Mark Scholl to have the censors removed with his liaison duties reinstated. The chair, Tootie Smith, responded with he needed to request for his duties to be given back, which he did during the commissioner's communication. Please keep me informed of this request so I don't have to readdress it. I also requested for transparency on posting of all committees, councils of the advisory groups and their agendas. These committees and councils need to be ready to take responsibility for their work. If I am not mistaken, Gary Schmidt will have this information. I would appreciate a time that I would be able to meet with him. Thank you for your work in the county. Now, I'm going off script. Please
if I understood correctly what Joe said, you guys could vote right now and stop all this nonsense. Period. I cannot believe that Commissioner Fisher has been given such a pass. The way she has spoke here and conducted herself, she has condoned every bit of the drama that has gone on. And it's disgusting. It is. It's disgusting that she has done this. If she was my kid, I'd take her to the woodpile, and I mean it. Thank you.
I have been in conversation with Commissioner Scholl about what he needs to do to have his liaison duties returned. And he needs to do that. And it's not.
I can't hear.
Please, you can sit down, Yvonne. Thank you. Thank you. I have been in conversations with Commissioner Scholl on what he needs to do. There are conversations being had. Commissioner Scholl needs to talk to every single commissioner as we have talked to him on previous issues. Anything else, Gary?
No.
Yes. Thank you very much. Next up is Keith Johnson. Please come forward, state your name, residence, and you have 3 minutes. Sonia, is that you?
Apologize. I have my hand raised, but I don't know if people are looking at the hand raise issue.
I don't see that. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Listen, I'm concerned about the rhetoric of the conversation this evening, and I will stand up for myself because claiming to take me out to the woodpile is not appropriate. It could be considered a threat. I don't appreciate it. And Madam Chair, I would really appreciate your allegiance in keeping some decorum from the citizens that come to present before us. It's not okay to talk this way. We need to not stand for it.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. Look, folks, I've been very lenient, and please do not interrupt any speaker, whether you like them or not, whether they're elected or not. I'm asking for respect and decorum from every member in this room. Mr. Johnson, you're up.
Yes, Keith Johnson, Oregon City. I'm a business owner. A couple things I wanted to comment on. One was the Commissioner Scholl. And I just wanted to say that after reading all the different things that are going on and what people have said, I support him and his stance on lockdowns and vaccine passports. And I think you're a patriot and you work for the citizens of Clackamas County, which everybody should do. Thank you. I also wanted to communicate to you about an article, a little context. I have friends that are veterans and patriots as well, and I wanted to communicate to you all about an article I read in our local newspaper about the newly appointed Clackamas Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Didway, and what he said about a peaceful and patriotic American flag wave right here in Oregon City. I read that article and I wanted to throw up because I was there. Now I know that we have a person that is in some responsibility position spouting off racist and Marxist propaganda talking points because he wants to pander to the woke groups and virtue signal that he supports their radical ideas. And I say, really, is this the kind of person we want overseeing our children's education? I think not. I say to you all, please don't pander to the woke and virtue signalers and their propaganda. Fight back against their talking points. We, the conservatives in this country, are the majority, and we want you to support that majority and our American values that we all grew up with, and stop listening to this rhetoric the minority is trying to sow with their Marxist communist hate. I paraphrase a couple of Mill and Burke. The only thing that allows evil to prosper is when good people do nothing. I ask that we do something about this. His racist attack on God-fearing Americans waving their flags has lit a patriotic fire under us that you don't want to ignore. By his direct action to seed hate and division, I would ask that somebody calls for his immediate resignation or termination of his title or rescind his contract to become the leader of the CES. I would ask in closing that you support the majority in our county. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Deborah Westcott, please come forward, state your name, area of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Deborah Westcott, Boring, Oregon. And I did email the commission a letter on June 10th. I did not receive anything, any acknowledgement. So I have it with me today, and I will read it. Clackamas County Commissioners, I would like to comment on Governor Kate Brown's proposed health passports. I would also like to express my support for Commissioner Mark Schull. First, however, I have a question. As our elected county commissioners, did each of you give an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States and also the Constitution of Oregon? I sincerely hope the answer to that is in the affirmative and that you are all prepared to do just that. As a born-free American citizen and a lifelong Oregonian, I understand that my rights as a citizen are to be protected by my government officials. I believe that over the past year, with the mandates imposed by Governor Brown, the rights of the citizens have been infringed, with mask mandates and now the possibility of health passports. I call upon you as elected representatives of Clackamas County residents to take the only stand which is constitutional and completely reject any type of requirement for citizens to show proof of immunization in order to live, work, and enjoy life and liberty in this land. I would like to quote from Senator Dennis Linthicum, Republican, Klamath Falls, his press release of June 9th, 2021. Quote, Fauci's emails are a perfect example of what happens when politics is put before science and when power is pursued before good policy. Governments at all levels were weaponized into bureaucratic machines of destruction that trampled on Oregonians' freedoms. When the government mandates are followed without the careful review of evidence and science, tyranny is the only result, end quote. This is a true statement, and the fact that we, the people of Oregon and Clackamas County, have lived under this tyrannical imposition of Governor Kate Brown's will is a testament to the peaceful heart of the people. But now I say enough. I will no longer comply with the rules of a hard-fisted government. I call on you, our commissioners, to do your job and uphold the rights of the people. Commissioner Mark Schull is the only one who has shown the integrity that is incumbent upon each and every one of you. Instead of criticizing and attacking him, you should be standing shoulder to shoulder.
Thank you very much, Deborah. I
support.
appreciate you coming today. Up next.
Thank you, Deborah.
Please refrain from outbursts. Seriously. Les Poole, you're up. Please state your name, area of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Les Poole. I do want to thank the chair and those that supported evening meetings because folks are showing up. I live in Gladstone. One thing I've seen here recently is that the folks that are showing up here, this is just a little gang, or Mark is recruiting us, or some other nonsense. The people that are showing up here are showing up organically. Mark Scholl is part of the conversation, but there's a much bigger message going on here. And what's happening and what's occurring in Oregon is far bigger than anything Mark Scholl ever posted on Facebook. I was going to speak about our good friends at Metro, but I want to thank the chair for doing that. And I want everyone to know that I will be submitting plenty of op-eds and plenty of testimony in the future so that we can deal with our problems and so that the public understands how Metro works, what they're doing, and why our transportation and a lot of our planning are a disaster. And I'm appalled that Lynn Peterson, who has failed at everything she's done since she took office, is running around finding little things to go after Tootie or the commissioners or others for. It reminds me of someone looking around and finding something to get upset about, like, oh my goodness, Mark Scholl used the term Jim Crow. Wow, let's freak out and make something out of that. The reason I'm saying what I'm saying is that rhetoric is really irritating a lot of people who are tired of the governor. We're tired of being beaten down, and we are financially in a bad situation. People are so frustrated. And here we have Commissioner Fisher weighing in. I would like her to answer, before the end of the meeting, the following question. Could she tell us how much she paid for the hit piece that she sent out on Mr. Scholl on the 12th of January? She was contracting at $2,500 a month with consultants who I don't believe did anything wrong, but I certainly would like to know what she was up to. You know, we were here month after week after month after week, if I could describe it that way, and I think she showed up one time. Things are going to change, right? You know why they're going to change? Because more people are going to keep showing up, and they're not going to go away. Thank you for your time.
That now ends the in-person public testimony. Shannon, how many do we have registered online?
We have 5 registered online. Commissioner Fisher also.
Okay, we will get to those after Commissioner Fisher. You're up.
Thank you, Chair Smith. So Les Poole, I am a politician. I have consultants. I do consult with people before I act sometimes because I want to make sure I have other opinions under my belt. And I don't need to, it's just obvious, Les. It's obvious. Politicians have consultants. We work with people. We raise money. And please continue. It's public information. You can look at my ORSTAR. I continue to reach out to my supporters. I don't have anything else to say about it. You have a good evening.
Thank you. Shannon, who's up?
Tim Smith, please unmute yourself, state your name and residence. You have 3 minutes.
Who was that?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, for some reason, there's something going on with my phone. Could you just raise a hand if you hear me or not? I can't hear you. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, my name is Tim Smith from Wilsonville. Just a little bit about myself. I am anything but a political person. I've never been in the political arena in my life. And I've been on here once. I came on here again because I was just shocked. And again, with all due respect to Ms. Fisher, I'm a little afraid of her. I really am, because if anyone appears to disagree with her, she comes off with onslaughts, just like she did with Mr. Poole, is pretty condescending. And Miss Lazarus, a real kind, unassuming lady, being threatened, her actually being threatened, because she happened to say something about a woodshed. So with that said, I'm a little fearful to walk on this because this is the reason why I'm here. I saw Miss Fisher on a show called The Big Story, and that's why I'm here. And I've never seen such hypocrisy in my life. I said in due respect. One thing she said that Mr. Scholl was a bigot and a racist. Well, there's 10 people in that room, Lee 11, that would stand happily in a courtroom testifying he's anything but. And back to the math thing, I don't know if Ms. Fisher listens very much or she doesn't care because majority of people here are on Mr. Scholl's side. Really, Mr. Scholl is on our side. It's the other way around. And these vaccine laws and this Crow thing, I'm just appalled. Mr. Poole said it well. It's not about black and white. It's about the have and the have-nots. The have vaccine people get all the privileges. The have-nots get shamed like they are today. So that's one big thing. And as far as Ms. Fisher mentioned on The Big Story that Mr. Scholl does not represent the views of the Clackamas County. Well, why don't we just take a poll right now? How many people are in the room today and offline or online? I'm counting 12-2. We have Mr. Weber, fine gentleman, that just said that our group lacks education. Well, if he was listening, the person that stood in this meeting was a doctor who said there's 80% false positives. So there's grounds for concern. So that's really why I'm here. I don't know. I guess I'm just appalled that anyone's being taken to the woodshed. It's Mr. Scholl by you four. And Ms. Chair, I really expect more of you. Your bio, I got my attention back in November. I thought you were my hero, and now I hate to say it, you're my zero. You just shamed him again, saying you've had a personal counsel with Mr. Scholl. So I guess I'm appealing to you in all fairness.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
All right.
Shannon, who's up next?
Next is Bill Weir. Bill, please unmute yourself, state your name and residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Well, good evening, Chair Smith and Commissioners. It's been 6 months since this commission voted to censor Commissioner Scholl. You've not indicated in public your willingness to reach out and undo the actions you took against him. This has made it near impossible for Mr. Scholl to be part of the commission in good stead. Rather, you as a group have dug in your heels further to isolate him. The most recent is the taking away of his liaison assignments and divvying them up among yourselves. Your snub of him and the citizens who voted for him has grown more serious than back in January. It's alienated you as a group from a number of citizens who question what your motives are. As an example, on June 1st, Chair Smith lectured and condemned Mr. Scholl over some wording on a resolution. Then she recognizes Commissioner Fisher, who goes into full commando mode, spewing slanderous bile at him. He's lost his standing among the commission by this action, and also the committees not being able to exercise an important part of a duty that voters sent him to office to do. Last week, when a citizen requested Mr. Scholl's assignment be returned, the chair said he hasn't asked. He did during the commissioner comments. There was a policy meeting last Tuesday, and that subject was not brought up. It's obviously you as a group that have no intention to give back to him what you wrongly took away. Now, some of the questions that have come up that you haven't really answered, and Commissioner Fisher glossed over this 10,000 as, oh, it's just politics, I don't want to talk about it, but really, it's not just 10,000, it's what the 10,000 represents. This is more money in one transaction than all of the commissioners received together in 5 years. Also, the timing of it between her and the Public Employees Union, when all the department heads at once, along with the commission, demanded his resignation, and a number of employees and various committees. So this 10,000 is still a big question mark. So I think it's time now to revoke the censor and give him back his committee assignments. It'll be good for you and the electorate. Thank you.
Gary, would you like to address this yet again?
Yes, thank you, Chair Smith. First, and Stephen, you can correct me, liaison assignments are just a function of what the commissioners created many years ago. It's not part of the county code or requirement of your role as a county commissioner. It's simply, there are 5 of you, there's so much work to be done, you just kind of divide up the work every year and ask commissioners to represent or liaise to certain committees and then report back to the full board. Any commissioner, including Commissioner Shull, can go to any meeting he wants. He's not prohibited from doing that. As far as the liaison roles, Chair Smith has made it really clear on what Commissioner Shull could or should do next as far as the board rediscussing this, and I know Commissioner Shull is working on that, and I do expect this will be back before the commission in the coming weeks. So there is a plan in place for that.
Any commissioner can attend any meeting they wish. Thank you. Shannon, who's up next?
Commissioner Fisher has raised her hand.
Commissioner Fisher, you're up.
Thank you, Chair Smith. I feel compelled, since I was called out at the beginning of this meeting because people are concerned that I'm not responding. I would like to, Bill Ware, former city councilor of Damascus, been involved with Clackamas County for a really long time, and as someone that is aware of how things work, you know that politicians raise money and that they seek input, they do polling, they do information gathering, they run a political operation. So Bill, I am happy to sit with you, have a cup of coffee, talk about whatever you would like to talk about, but please, I guess you can say I am the one responsible for everything that has been concerning regarding Mark Shull, but don't forget, 5 members of the commission voted to censure him. 4 members of the commission voted to remove his liaison duties. I am not the one that is leading this here, but you obviously want to pin that on me. So let's just talk about it and not waste the commission's time during public meetings discussing this.
Thank you. Up next, Shannon.
Christine Kennedy, you are up next. Please unmute, state your name and residence. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening. This is Christine Kennedy. I live in Clackamas County, Lake Oswego, and I've lived in this area for 6 years. I'm a retired registered nurse, and I just want to start with saying I'm very concerned about the continued misinformation that's being shared at these meetings, and just would like to say that last month, of all the people that died in Maryland, which I think was around 200 people, none of them were vaccinated. So since we're all honorable people, I would assume that anybody that's there without a mask on has been vaccinated. So first of all, second of all, I guess, I'd like to thank the Commission for the ban on legal fireworks in the unincorporated areas of Clackamas County. I thank you for taking a strong stance on safety and fire prevention over the 4th of July. The Eagles over the river went quiet last year for a few days after the 4th, and it was so wonderful and hopeful to see them flying over the river on July 5th. My primary reason is tonight is to voice my support for the chair and the board in removing Mark Shull's liaison privileges. He should not be trusted to represent the board when working with employee and citizen groups. He has demonstrated over and over again his disdain and lack of respect for the board and for the citizens, I believe. He has demonstrated and willfully taken action not in concert with agreed upon expectations of a leader for Clackamas County. His divisive behavior is not helpful during a time that obviously still remains so difficult overall. His obvious pride after the June 10th, 2021 meeting is empiric evidence of his lack of respect for the Board of Commissioners and for his role. I listened and watched the meeting by Zoom with my own eyes and ears, real time. During the public comments, stated expectations for public comments were ignored. And most importantly, again, like tonight, active discouragement of the COVID vaccine. And people, there is no passport required in Oregon. Do you understand that? It's gone. There is no passport requirement. So again, lots of fear mongering, lots of division. I just don't get it. This is nothing for Clackamas County to be proud of. As an elected official, Mark has a duty to represent the needs of the county and all the people. He is not fulfilling the basic expectation of his job. The chair in the BCC asked him to resign in January. He refused and was censured, not censored. It's different. Censured. The board tried to get back to work and
Christine.
passed a budget.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Appreciate. Yep. Christine, or Shannon, who's up next?
Connie Lee, you are up next. Please unmute your mic, state your name and residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Connie Lee, Lake Oswego. I understand that Mark Schull has asked that his committee liaison assignments be reinstated, but he has never proven that he understands why they were taken away in the first place. He has absolutely no idea why comparing a medical mask during a pandemic to the Jim Crow laws that harm so many Black people is hurtful and racist to the BIPOC community in Clackamas County. Mr. Schull has broken the trust with this community, and he continues to contend that he was right all along, but he was very wrong. Proof of having a vaccine is in no way comparable to Jim Crow. Everyone on the Board of County Commissioners knows that except him. Furthermore, while Mark Schull is supposed to be a commissioner for all constituents, he seems to only pay attention to his supporters. The day when his supporters acted like an out-of-control mob was the day he said it was the proudest day of his tenure on the BCC. He has never apologized. He has never expressed any remorse or any need to change his behavior. Thus, there is no reason why the board should change their mind on this issue. I may be preaching to the choir on this issue, but I know I speak for many of your constituents. Many feel that ideally he should be recalled, but short of that, he should have no liaison assignments. Just having him as a commissioner demeans the whole of Clackamas County. We cannot even truthfully say that we don't abide hate in our county with a man like this representing us. Thank you.
Thank you. Shannon, who's up next?
Thank you, Chair Smith. That is the end of my list.
Oh, what's in your list? All right. That is the end of our public testimony for this evening. Gary, can you introduce the next item?
Yes, Chair Smith. Next is County Administrator update. That's me. First, I want to tell you about a contract I signed on your behalf under the COVID-19 Emergency Declaration 2020-14. I signed it today, July 8th, 2021. It is for disaster management. It is an amendment to a personal services agreement with Advantage Nurse Staffing of Oregon to provide on-call temporary medical staffing to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. This amendment extends the time until December 31st, 2021. There are no additional funds added to the contract. The original contract amount is for $2 million, all funded by State CARES Act funds. There are no general funds involved. I'm seeking your ratification of this item I signed on your behalf today.
I move to ratify.
Seconded.
A motion is made to ratify the contract by Commissioner Savas and seconded by Commissioner Schull. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, Shannon, please call the poll. Now, Commissioner Fisher, you're online. Would you like to vote on this?
I vote aye.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Fisher, aye. Commissioner Schull,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Chair Smith?
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Gary?
Thank you, Chair. And then just very quickly, I think you may talk about this as well, Chair. Yesterday, you and I participated in a courthouse industry day, which was a chance to discuss our new courthouse replacement project to potential bidders from the private sector on this project. There were more than 150 people online for this Zoom meeting who are potentially interested through their firms in this project. And Chair Smith, you were fantastic, as was Presiding Judge Kathy Steele and our project manager Gary Barth, who spoke about the project and then answered questions from the group. It was just fantastic, so you may want to talk more about that. But thank you, Chair, for participating. And the interest of over 150 people is very good, because we'll have a competitive bidding process, so we get the absolutely best price for Clackamas County taxpayers, and there are no taxes will be raised to fund this county courthouse project. That's my good news. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. And now for Commissioner Communication. Commissioner Scholl, you're up first.
Yes, good evening, Clackamas County. As I mentioned last week, we had a town hall with Senator Merkley. In that discussion was housing. And Senator Merkley acknowledged that the supportive housing we're building now is too expensive at $300,000 plus per unit. And he spoke about the need for changes at HUD that would allow us to build efficiency units at a much smaller price. And so I encourage you to encourage Senator Merkley to work on that with HUD and give him a call and tell him that you support those changes at HUD. On CPOs and hamlets, I'd like to thank the Lad Hill CPO Board for the briefing on Lad Hill. And also, I'd like to thank Bill Marked from the Stafford Hamlet for coming in and talking to me about the future of Stafford and the concerns of balancing growth against retaining its rural characteristics and farmland. Also, on 5 August, I'll attend the Boring CPO and Cottrell CPO on the Portland Water Bureau filtration plant that's scheduled to be built in the Cottrell area. That's a big topic, and a lot of people are very concerned about that. On mental health, I like to always drive this home because we have such a big problem in the county. If you or a family member are experiencing any kind of mental health crisis, the Clackamas County Support Line is there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And 503-655-8585. There's several locations in the county that can offer assistance, and no one should hesitate to call. If it be yourself or a family member, they're there to help. On public safety, I'd also like to thank the folks of the county for going along with our ban on fireworks. We had a few less fires than we normally do because of that. And about 30,000 dogs in the county also say thank you very much for holding back on the fireworks this year. And on summer safety, I'd like to remind everybody that water sports are coming up. Every year we lose people to drowning. One loss is too much. And please be mindful of water safety. Keep a close eye on those kids when they're in or near the water. Also, swimming lessons are available in the county through the Parks Department and also your city Parks Department. It's a good thing. Learn to swim. On the Small Grants Program, if you have not applied for your organization yet, make sure you give Caroline Hill a call, and she's going to answer your questions on that. Another reminder on the Fair and Rodeo. You got 5 weeks, 17 through 21 August is a Clackamas County Fair at Canby. Be there or be square. And finally, I'd like to say on liaison duties, I'm going to continue to do my job and get around the county, talk to everybody I can. And if anyone in the county has got a comment or an issue that you want to talk to me about, please give me an email at mshaw@clackamas.us or a telephone call, because I want to get involved with anything that you have on your minds. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Scholl. Commissioner Savas, you're up.
Thank you. I couldn't help but just realize that through my 10 years sitting up here and performing or doing my job as a county commissioner, I think I've had to endure quite a bit, I would say, of inconsistency of board rules and so forth. And I don't want to attribute any of this to my colleagues up here today. That's not what this is about. It's really about getting some, I guess, some consistency. And when there's difficulties amongst the board, it's usually advised that there either be, in our board rules, for example, you know, we have a opportunity to, or responsibility to work with each other on any individual differences or challenges or disagreements or whatever they may be. But as a board, you know, we typically, if they're elevated at the board level, it's usually advised that we have a retreat. And we've had several retreats over the years to work out our differences. I even learned here tonight that apparently, you know, really a lot of we have spoken policies. I think we have some written guidelines or rules, but we really need to codify those into really rules that we hold ourselves each accountable to, and that we can cite. And that's the problem I have. Prior to my coming on the commission, you know, I've heard stories. I watched county commission meetings back over 20 years ago, 25, 30 years ago. And differences amongst the board members they're not solely to Clackamas County. They're not limited to my tenure here or whatnot. But assignments have been taken away from other commissioners for decades. I have had assignments taken away without explanation. And was it politically motivated? I would say that I think it was. Do I hold any hard feelings about it? No. I'm not trying to direct any of the attention towards myself. I'm trying to draw my attention for everyone to the fact of the matter is that, you know, this is something that we have typically done. I would really like to see ground rules. I had to live my life in rules. I had to run my business following the rules. Everything I did, I either followed the law, I followed the rules, whatever it may be, I did the best I could. And there are times up here, I think, that we can actually codify what some of those rules are into some ground rules for the board to act on so that we have some consistency. I be respectful of everyone up here and my two colleagues that are not here with us today. I guess Commissioner Fisher's online. But my point is that I think we need to, when it comes to whether it's censuring or whether it is liaison assignments, I have suffered that myself. So I will just say that, do I know why? No. Were they returned? No. Do I know why? No. What were the rules? None. That's all I have for today. Thank you.
Commissioner Fisher, would you like to speak?
Yes, Chair Smith, thank you very much. Commissioner Savas, you make a good point. I remember us talking about having a retreat before budget, and I believe Chair Smith wanted to get through budget, which I think we all can relate to because that was a lot to do. But I welcome us getting together to have a retreat. Some good work happens there. So tonight I am in Maryland, and we are at the National Association of Counties. And one thing that I will be doing is sharing, we won a national award, Clackamas County did, for our GO teams. I will be presenting at the Healthy Counties Breakfast about our GO teams program, and it's pretty amazing. So I just want to share a little bit about it for everyone. During the pandemic, when everything was shut down and social isolation, such a serious concern, and all of the mental health challenges that I think we all can say we experienced to some degree were present, our staff had to reinvent how we do intervention. We really had to reinvent because there were social distancing, there was shutdowns, there were things were shut down, people weren't going to work, children were at home, there were many family stresses. people couldn't see their doctors, they couldn't go see a therapist. There were many, many challenges that some still continue. But what our staff did was come up with a program called the Go Teams. And it's a program where individuals who had an issue or concern, whatever it was, and a mental health, a peer support person, somebody who's trained in mental health first aid would go out to that person in person and have a conversation. And much of the time it was just an ear to listen to, a face to see, and reminding people of their own resiliency to get through these incredibly challenging times. Well, this, I call it a COVID keeper. There are things that we learned during the pandemic that really matter and have really made a difference in people's lives. And this is one. It's raised national recognition, and I will be so pleased and honored to share stories with fellow commissioners from around the country on what we've incubated here in Clackamas County. So with that, I am really looking forward to it, and we will come back. Commissioner Schrader is here. I left her at dinner because I wanted to come join the meeting, but we will be back with much information to share with the rest of you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. The resolutions I referred to earlier in the meeting, you know about the fireworks ban, and I think that had overshadowed the other good work that we've been doing. We also passed a history resolution making it an important tourism component to the county. We have a deep culture, a deep history, and as we move forward, we're going to enhance our tourism facilities, our tourism programs as an important economic driver. And we all know what it is. We have some exciting projects going on with the redevelop of the Blue Heron site that the Grand Ronde Traub bought. Metro is working on their walkway. We have the opening of the Willamette Locks hopefully coming soon. The state legislature funded that up to $7.5 million. We're still a little bit short on that. Now we'll be negotiating with the Corps of Engineers to have the transfer of that property, since the state of Oregon has passed a public corporation to manage that property. Another resolution that we passed was the economic recovery post-pandemic. I had some wording in that I submitted. Commissioner Schull had wording in that you folks in the audience, you liked both the wording that he and I submitted that was taken away, because there's a 5-member board here. And in order to get something voted on and passed, it requires a consensus. It requires give and take. And we have to make everybody happy. We have 5 people. They all have different ideas. We all come from different political spectrums, and we cannot always represent one particular political thought in whatever we do. Please go online, read that economic resolution. Vaccines are addressed in it. In businesses, I hope our businesses read it. I sent it over to the North Clackamas County Chamber of Commerce this afternoon. Hopefully they will put it on their site as well. Earlier tonight, Gary talked about Industry Day, and it was a very interesting procedure that I had never been through before. It was a webinar on Zoom, and it was setting up for a request for qualifications for anybody interested in a company interested in bidding on a courthouse and funding it. And I made some statements. I read my statement on what Clackamas County hopes to accomplish with this, the guidelines, and our philosophy around building a courthouse. The reason why we're building a courthouse is because it's required by state law. I will repeat that. The building of a courthouse is required by state law. It is a county government function, and sometimes I think that gets missed. The State of Oregon Judicial Department staffs the judges. Our district attorney is independent. However, this county government must furnish a courthouse. The courthouse was built in 1936. with one courtroom. We now have 11 judges, but during that time, it was also the sheriff was there and county commissioners and all functions of county government. We have since outgrown that facility. At that time, the population in the county was 50,000. Today, it's 430,000. So if you've ever been down to the courthouse, as I have many times, because it seems like I'm called for jury duty every year, which we haven't really had that much of it during the pandemic, you will find that it's very difficult to get around. The state of Oregon, recognizing that counties are having a very hard time to pay for a courthouse, offered up a 50% grant to pay for the courthouse. We were successful in this legislative session in convincing our legislators to allocate $94.5 million as a 50% match to build our courthouse. This board has voted on a P3 model, which means a public-private design, construct, finance, and build project. And it is designed specifically to come in on time, hopefully under budget, and keep our costs down. Construction won't happen for probably a year and a half, and I'm thankful for that because, as you know, construction prices have been rising, and we're in a bubble, and I'm hoping we hit it just right. As Gary alluded to, we have not raised taxes. This board has set this as a priority, a very important county priority, that the payments will be made through our general fund. And as I told our board, we have a decision to make. We can either buy a building or we continue to buy more and more and more programs over the years. We can continue to fund every good idea that walks in the door that may not be substantiated, or we can buy a building. This board, I believe, rightfully has elected to buy a building. This process that we had this week was so successful. We had over 155 participants on board. We're going to do it again. This time we're going to invite our Clackamas County Caucus of Legislators and the people in the legislature who sat on the Ways and Means Capital Construction Committee that allocated for this money and any elected official, because we feel it's important to continue to educate them on this, because during the legislative times you get 2 minutes or 3 minutes to explain what's going on. And we just want to dispel any possible misinformation now that the legislators are out of session. Dispel any misinformation and continue to make our case that we are indeed good stewards of the money, and that the P3 process, although has never been tried before in Oregon, has been tried nationally. And we hope to be an example on how to build public structures. With that in mind, this meeting is adjourned.